What's cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What up? What up? How's everybody doing? Thank you for stopping in. Back with another Johnny Arnett reaction video. This time, Mr. Johnny Arnett listed his top 10 players in the NBA today. So I was just curious as to where he ranked his top 10 with the current players that he has available to him, that we have available to us. This was something I was planning on doing myself before the season starts, and I still plan on doing that. I won't release it like one episode per player for this. I'll just do it like Johnny does it, put all my 10 players in one video and do a quick rundown. So I'm curious to see who he has. I would have to imagine we probably have most of the same players on the list, but I'm curious to see what Johnny has going on, all right? So let's get into it. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and let's check it out.
The beginning of the NBA season is a little over a month away, and with that being the case, I think it's time to start heating up the power rankings machines of all sorts. I know I spend most of my time on this channel sharing information about NBA history, but today I thought I'd take a different approach and give my rankings of the top 10 best players in the NBA today, and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my rankings. Starting off at number 10, Damian Lillard. This pick will probably be seen as one of the most controversial picks in my top 10, as most people seem to have Dame between the 11 and 15 range. For me personally, that's just not high enough. Last season, Lillard put up 32 points per game, over 7 assists, and nearly 5 rebounds, while continuing to be one of the most lethal deep shooters in the entire league. Sure, he's not a great defensive player, but I don't understand why that criticism carries so much weight when people regularly rank others much higher who are also one-way players. Honestly, I see most people holding Dame back because he's simply been cursed with a mediocre franchise. I don't know if this trade with Miami is ever actually going down, but put him in a situation with an elite big man and fellow big game players, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Dame finally getting the respect that he's worth in a deep postseason run. Number 9, Kevin Durant. Just the fact that KD is even on this list after his terrible Achilles tear is remarkable in itself. I gotta be honest though, if Durant was on the floor more consistently, then he would be a candidate for a top 4 spot on my list. As the saying goes, the best ability is availability, and I'm a big believer in that concept, and I will continue to factor that into my rankings. Over the last 3 seasons, KD is averaging roughly 45 games played. At this point in his career, you can fully expect him to miss almost half of a season on a yearly basis. With that being said, he averaged 29, 7, and 5 while putting up some of the most incredible 50-40-90 splits that I've ever seen. In fact, his 56% shooting was easily the most lethal field goal percentage for a 50-40-90 season in NBA history. So again, even with a smaller portion of games played, you gotta put him in the top 10 based on his talent and production alone. Number 8, LeBron James. The guy is heading into his 21st season in the league and is still considered by most people as a top 10 player in the game. Nobody has ever been able to say that before, but LeBron continues to prove that he's some sort of ageless vampire. Last season, in 55 games played, James averaged about 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists on 50% shooting. Unlike many people, I don't think James is a horrible defender at this point in his career, or that he's a great defender either, but he simply has to pick his spots to give his best efforts, in a similar way to how an aging Kobe Bryant did it for the Lakers as well. Some people seem a little too anxious to remove LeBron from the top 10, But seriously, outside of the defensive end, which LeBron hasn't excelled at since his days in Miami, what is James still not elite at doing? He can still score at will and efficiently for that matter, he can still rebound and facilitate with the best of them, and when it comes to his IQ and decision making, he's just about as good as ever. Number 7. Anthony Davis. Similar to the previously mentioned Kevin Durant, I would love to rank Davis much higher if he was actually on the court more often, as he's averaging only 44 games played over the last 3 seasons. But if you look beyond the fact that he has the durability of a crispy potato chip, then he's clearly one of the best two-way players in the entire game. Last season, Davis averaged about 26 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 56% shooting. I do wish he'd just stop shooting 3-pointers altogether, because the guy is clearly out of his range when he's that deep, and I'm screaming at my television every time he starts winding up from distance. In the post with his back to the basket, there's very few players I trust more than AD, but if only I could count on that for more than 70 games a year. Number 6. Jason Tatum. Now that we have AD, LeBron, and Durant out of the way, we can actually talk about the best players in the game that are expected to play the vast majority of the season. I hate to sound just like the meme, but Tatum is still only 25 years old, and I feel like we would be more appreciative of his progression so far if he shut up about his Kobe Bryant obsession and stopped forcing the comparison for us. Last year, he averaged 30 points, nearly 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, while hitting 46% of his shots. If he wants to get in the top 5, the one thing I would love to see him doing this offseason is relentlessly work on his 3-point shooting. He's not a bad 3-point shooter by any means, but in 2023, Tatum was second in the league in overall 3-pointers attempted, while averaging a whopping 9.3 attempts per game. If he's going to be challenging players like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson for the most 3-pointers attempted in a season, then ideally, I'd like to see him hitting better than 35% of his attempts. It does seem like the NBA is ready to have a coronation for this young man, but until his Celtics actually reach the mountaintop, whether it's fair or not, he'll probably continue to find himself in the second tier of elite superstars. Number 5. Joel Embiid. I feel like recency bias might be negatively affecting his ranking on many lists, maybe even including mine as well. Because although he was the MVP last season, the bitter end to his season and the comparisons to Nikola Jokic certainly are not doing him any favors. I can somewhat justify Embiid's 5th place ranking on my list by stating that he's clearly the worst postseason performer out of anyone in my top 5. Last season, he put up stellar averages of 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists on nearly 55% shooting. And that was the second straight season that he had led the league in scoring. But when you look at how he crashed hard in the postseason, well then it's no wonder why many people consider the reigning league MVP a borderline top 5 player. Because of this hard lesson that everyone learned, there's probably no way he's significantly climbing up the list until he redeems himself in the playoffs. Number 4. Luka Doncic. He's the youngest player in the top 10, yet he's already a statistical monster who's regularly accomplishing feats that's putting his name in the record books. And if his off-season conditioning is any indication, he may be getting even better in this upcoming season. Last year, Luka put up 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists on nearly 50% shooting. With better fitness comes improved quickness, at least in theory, and hopefully this will be an attribute that leads to better defensive play from Luka, especially when it comes to him staying in front of his man with his lateral movement. Admittedly, things are not looking too promising from the offseason footage, but at least it's a start. As mostly an offensive threat, Luka continues to be dominant, but like Jason Tatum, he can improve in several areas, including his 3-point shooting. But unlike several players on the list, Luka's got plenty of time to figure out his weaknesses. Number 3. Steph Curry. Despite reaching his mid-30s, he looks like he's never lost a step, as he nearly had another 50-40-90 season in 2023, averaging 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Although he might not have the most jaw-dropping stat line compared to these other greats, I will continue to preach that Curry's greatness goes beyond the stat sheet, as his limitless range forces the defense to give him constant attention, which simultaneously opens up the floor for his teammates to operate freely. In short, Steph has always been the main catalyst for the Warriors' offensive success. His all-time great shooting touch isn't going anywhere anytime soon, so as of now, I'm very comfortable having him in a top 3 spot on my list. Number 2, Giannis. The Greek Freak had an embarrassing first-round exit last season, but I fully expect him to remind people just how good he is, and I anticipate that we'll view that early round exit as a fluke when it's all said and done. Last year, he put up 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists on 55% shooting. Obviously, his terrible free throw shooting will continue to be a hindrance, but I would also like to see him do a better job of taking care of the basketball this upcoming season, as he averaged a career-high 3.9 turnovers in 2023. With that being said, Giannis continues to be the highest-ranked two-way player on my list, as almost no one can cover as much ground as he can defensively. Again, recency bias seems to play a factor, as it's basically eliminated Giannis from number 1 spot consideration. But with another regular season showing like last season and a solid showing in the postseason, I assume he'll earn his way right back into the conversation. Number 1, Austin Reeves. Just kidding, it's Nikola Jokic. Imagine being considered as a subpar defensive player, yet people almost universally agree that you're the best player in the league. That's the current perspective of the Joker, Nikola Jokic. The man is so efficient, so dominant, and so team-oriented that he's claimed his spot as the top dog as basically a one-way player. Unlike many players on this list, Jokic has no problem sustaining greatness in the postseason where the competition is at its finest, as he averaged a near 30-point triple-double over the course of the 2023 playoffs. Over the last 6 seasons, his field goal percentage has improved year after year, with 2023 sitting at a dumbfounding 63.2%. If he improves that anymore this upcoming season, then he will be in efficient scoring territory that's basically uncharted by anyone that's not named Wilt Chamberlain. And it's pretty crazy just how often we've been using Wilt and the Joker in the same sentence in the last couple of years. Without question, Jokic is the top dog on my list. So what do you guys think? Who do you think is making a big jump this upcoming season? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
I'll tell you what I think, Johnny. Not a bad list. I get his criteria. He's looking at injuries and what players have been over the last couple of years. So, because at first I'm like, KD number 9, what? But I mean, if that's his criteria, that's how he's looking at it. Then yeah, KD has been smacked upside down all around with injuries for the last couple of years. But when he's on the court, I mean, the guy it's phenomenal. But it is what it is. And for me, I shook my head because you already know. There's a point in time where I was doing Anthony Davis content, and then I just got so tired of the same talking points with me talking about Anthony Davis. So I said, no more. I'm done. I'm not doing any more Anthony Davis content for the rest of the season. I'm tired of this guy. And sure enough, I didn't do any more Anthony Davis content for the rest of the season. I can't put him up there, man. I see what he's like. When it's time for him to step up and be the man, and there are so many times where he's just coy, unassertive, not being aggressive, and it's just like, what are you doing? So as much as you could talk about the inconsistencies with health, for me, also with Anthony Davis, is the inconsistencies with assertiveness and exerting your will on the basketball game. He's not an alpha. He's not. He is not. And he is more than happy to relish in his beta-ness. Trust me, that's where he's most comfortable. I've been watching this guy for years. He's most comfortable as a beta. Second option. And even then, you still got to freaking poke him and prod him to get going. Without a doubt, LeBron James is definitely still a top 10 player in this game. No argument there. LeBron's, all things considered, come on, man. The guy's playing phenomenally. Yeah, can't take that away from Bron. Damian Lillard, like I said, I got to sit down and think about it because I don't know where I will put these players at in my ranking, but I don't know if I could go Damian Lillard in my top 10. I'd have to think about it and look at my options. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard, if that guy could stay healthy, he's still a top 10 player in the NBA, and he proves it when he actually plays. That's the problem, man. His knees are so shut out. It's crazy, man. As much as I was like, Kawhi needs to be in there, but his load management and injury situation is just far worse than anybody else's we've talked about. But yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I was just curious to see where Johnny had these players ranked and his reasoning for doing so. I knew the top two were going to be either Giannis or Joker. I just didn't know which way he was going to go with it, considering, I know Joker just won a championship, but Giannis has a championship to his name, and Giannis plays defense, but Joker's a better playmaker, so it'd be interesting. But he brings up a good point. Despite this guy being noted as being not a very good defender, his offensive production is so buku that it still places him as, for many people, number one. And there's something to be said about that. I do. I don't necessarily disagree with that. One thing I've always said is that I would probably never put, it would be hard for me to put a player that's a liability defensively into my top 10 unless this person's production on the other side was just so ridiculous. Then I could be like, all right, you know what? Psh, impact. Boom. Anyway, y'all let me know what you think about it. I'm going to put my top 10 video out sometime before the season starts, and you'll get my opinion like Johnny gave his, all right? Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and I will catch you on the next one. We out, baby.